Hello everyone, welcome back to Rogue Trader. I did level up since last time, but it's been, I don't know, maybe a week or something since I've played, so I don't really remember what abilities I chose. So I guess we should have a look at that, and hopefully I chose well. So what do we got? So with our boy Drifter, we've gone with Breakthrough, is it? And that was one of those ones, like, as soon as I picked it, I kind of immediately had regrets. So I was like, maybe Sworn Enemy would have been better. But gonna try Breakthrough. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. And I upgraded Athletics, it looks like. Cool. Alright, Abelard. What did we do with him? Yeah, him I did give Sworn Enemy to, so we'll see which one's better. So Adira, we went with, what did we go with? Second Sight. The Psyker's psychic powers that have a range of 2 cells or more have their range increased by +4. Yeah, so I guess I was thinking just trying to keep her away from the front line. We'll see. Doesn't sound that great in retrospect. So what a ballistic skill and entrench. Soldier immediately spends all their AP and MP and gains a plus 30% bonus to cover efficiency. The next time the soldier uses run and gun, they gain back all spent AP and MP plus 1 additional AP. It also resets the cooldown of all other soldiers' abilities except for run and gun. So that sounds like it could be good. We'll see. And then I think I had to spec out our new friend here, whose name I've forgotten already. Cassia, of course. And, yeah, I went with, well, I didn't have a choice. Their finest hour. So that sounds good. More action points. And then mind over matter. The navigator makes all resistance tests with their willpower. If it is higher than the base characteristic for such test. If the navigator's willpower is higher than their toughness, the navigator's wounds are calculated according to their willpower. And I've been trying to buff her willpower as much as possible. So, have no idea if these are good options or not, but that is what I selected. So that is what we're going to try out. And I think we can respec if we talk to... not that dude. One of these dudes. I don't know where he is. He's disappeared. But one of these guys will allow us to respec. I just have to remember which guy it is. Was that guy? Or hey, him. It's him. Okay. I think. Yeah. The factotum. Yeah, you know why they called him that, because it sounds like... Let's have a look at the map. Yes, so we were on our way to the prison. That's where we're going. What is that? What is that? Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Wissarian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. Man, they will not let us go every time we try to go somewhere. They just got to interrupt. It's brutal. This is not the conduct of an officer. These are the antics of a highborn brat out on a lark. Explain yourself, Lieutenant. I apologize, sir, but I must speak to the Lord Captain. Very well, Lieutenant. You may address the Lord Captain, not least because I see you have already seen fit to disturb him. Your unauthorized appearance on the bridge and display of belligerence toward a higher-ranking officer will be logged on your personal file without delay. Bro, this guy's like the HR Karen. Lord Captain, Lieutenant Avrilla Vent, requesting permission to speak on a matter of extreme importance and urgency. Alright, I'll listen to what you have to say. This matter cannot wait. Any minute now, an assault unit will be dispatched to the lower decks on orders to crush the workers' strike by any means necessary. but I am convinced that this step is unwarranted and the crisis itself was provoked by the actions of one of the senior officers. Dun dun dun! Abelard, in no hurry to intervene, lets out a skeptical huff. He glances at Sawyerback, who is standing not far from him, but she maintains a stony expression. Lord Captain, I urge you to investigate the actions of Seneschal Wurzerian and to intervene in what's happening on the lower decks, because very soon we will have a mutiny or a massacre on our hands. There's an insurrection in the making aboard my ship and no one has informed me. I would not deem it a problem worthy of the rogue trader's attention. Bruh. I think I decide if it's worthy of my attention or not. Not you. The lower decks, as it so happens, are in revolt. 30-some years ago, we even had a revolutionary leader rise up who dared to establish workers' rule across the entire ship. It took a month to restore order, but even 8 years later, we were still battling rumours that the hero had survived his execution and was on the verge of gathering people to fight against tyranny once more. Needless to say, the rumours were baseless. As for the current situation, we have sufficient enforcers to deal with it. But on this ship, the word of the Lord Captain carries more weight than a salvo from 100 bolters. I'm sure that if the rogue trader addresses the malcontents directly, he will quell the unrest. I dread to think what problem you will disturb the rogue trader with next. Perhaps you will ask the Lord Captain to break up brawls in the mess room. I've already given you the means to resolve this problem. You simply need to use them. Okay. If I may, your lordship, sending a hit squad to crush the rebellion is a means of ignoring the problem, not solving it. Yeah, I do kind of agree. How does this Wurzerian person come into it? I shall explain. I beg you to hurry. Time is running out. I will not... Oh, this guy. This guy, man. Since my competence is under scrutiny, I shall speak for as long as I see fit. Yes, by all means, waste more of our time, bro. That's... yeah. Okay, go from saying nothing at all about the problem to saying way too much. That's... yeah. There is an established order to the way things are done on this ship, and one of the pillars of that system is that the rogue trader's attention is not distracted by trivial matters. It is the Seneschal's role to ensure that. I've always handled internal problems myself, so of course when I received information about cultists hiding on the lower decks, I took the matter in hand. So as long as I live, not one of the vermin who murdered Theodora von Valancius will find refuge on her ship. You are far too heavy-handed, Seneschal Wurzerian. He's Wurzerian! Bro, why couldn't you call him by his name? I would have understood. Arrests, interrogations, mass punishments for entire sectors. It has driven the people to the brink. Now there is a strike on the lower decks in Depot 4, to be precise. 3 worker clans are involved, but many more are passively supporting them. The situation could degenerate into an all-out insurrection, but when I reported my concerns, the only response I received was an order to dispatch an assault unit and crush the strike with maximum force. I see. Master-at-Arms, the ship's enforcers report to you, and yet you seem hesitant to provide your own perspective. Lord Captain, unlike Lieutenant Vent, I respect the chain of command and realise that it is not within my right to challenge my superiors. That being said, while I entirely share Master Wurzerian's opinion on what fate Depot 4 deserves, I must note that this insubordination is a direct consequence of practices that he himself has introduced. Yeah, why aren't we calling him Abelard anymore? Bro, what? I thought that was like a totally different person. Abelard, do you wish to respond? Mr. Sawyerback, can you recall an occasion where I would encourage an officer to disobey their superior, or one where I would overrule their order, or show favouritism to those who merited none? None, for there have been no such cases in the entire time I have served aboard this ship. If anyone were to claim otherwise, I would have them pay for insulting your honour with blood. Seems like an overreaction, but okay. Your conduct in this regard has always been spotless. Nevertheless, given your eminent position, a simple show of attention on your part is enough to erode the propriety of junior officers, inflate their sense of self-importance, and undermine discipline. That you distinguish some of them and know them by name is tantamount to walking around the officer's deck handing out gifts to officers who have caught your eye. It fills those you set apart with ambition and audacity, makes them stand out among the rest. Enforcers are meant to be faceless servants, fighters ready to die, their fate entrusted to the commander and no one else. That is the sole foundation of order. Okay, Yep. I see. Evidently my officers are anything but a shining example of unity and adherence today. I've only myself to blame, I suppose. Okay, so what is Depot 4? Depot 4 is one of the poorest sectors on the lower decks. It is home to clans of general labourers. They are not as valuable to the ship as the families who have served its specialised systems for generations. They are an easily replaceable resource and one which is now more, besides giving a Sakur? I don't know, to cultists and minions of the archenemy. I gotta find out what that word means. Depot 4 is poor and troubled, but at worst that means drunken fights and illegal rotgut brewing. We have handled the workers of Depot 4 in the past. We would have done so again if the crackdown on Depot 4 hadn't been so harsh. And another important point to bear in mind, the problem is not limited to this sector. It is located on one of the most populated lower decks, and everything that happens there has a knock-on effect on all the neighbouring sectors. And so you telling me, man, I got my own, like, private waterfall pool in my quarters. But we can't afford to give these people the necessities. I don't know, man. Sounds pretty messed up to me. Alright, how did it start? Well, we kind of know how it started already. Abelard was being heavy-handed. The situation could boil over at any minute, so I'll give you the condensed version. It all began when the enforcers found a cultist amulet on the body of someone who'd been killed in a drunken brawl. We reported it up the chain immediately, arranged for a cleansing rite to be performed and opened an investigation. No heretics had been found alive, but the searches brought tensions between enforcers and workers to a head. Yeah, well, the people who you're trying to get information from go out of your way to antagonize them. And I'm sure that will make them much more likely to help you. This is some big brain stuff we got here. Abelard, what do you have to say to all this? I see no need to add anything. I acted within the remit of my authority, guided exclusively by the best interests of your protectorate and your personal safety. If you wish to confirm the rectitude of my actions for yourself, I have no objections. Alright, we're gonna have to go down. This is one of those situations you want it done right, you gotta do it yourself. Let's go. Alright, praise the Emperor. Thank you, Lord Captain. An enterprise bordering on the sophomoric, but please yourself, Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist that I escort you. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go down really well. Lord Captain, I regret that the enforcers were unable to handle the situation, which then led to your and the Seneschal's involvement. I consider it my duty to go to Depot for myself and see to the expedient resolution to this incident. Alright, let's do it. We have to bring our party. That means there's going to be combat. Alright, here we go. So we're going to try not to kill anyone. Or did they just throw at him? The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret that we cannot replace all the locals with servitors. Damn. They were shouting your name. Of course they were. The organisation of the daily, routine life of the ship rests upon my shoulders. The mountain of challenges and problems from which I endeavour to insulate you, Lord Captain. The situation on the lower decks has been a cause for concern, and I have intervened personally on more than one occasion. That must be why they remember me. They do not know your face. To them, you are akin to a creature of legend, one who has stood on the steps of the Golden Throne, no less. Whereas I am the man whose name is attached to every order, docking rations, or lowering a bay's heating. Saying, man, if you hadn't spent the money on the waterfall pool, you know, Just saying. Let's keep moving. Alright, well, I don't even remember what the controls are, really. Something resembling a nest made out of thermal insulation. Now, I think I got to hold down tab, don't I? Yeah, and that gives us...
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
Lower deck rabble. Man, imagine you're an NPC and that's your name. Rabble. This is the rabble. We're never getting to this jail, are we? Excuse me, have you seen a man throwing acid at people? Hello, lower deck rabble. Why do you have a cape? Why are you so fancy? You've got an ability as well. We can't talk to you? Okay. We probably shouldn't steal their goods, should we? That would not be a sensible thing to do. Inside the box, a string of scratched letters run along the edges. Okay, can we go through that door? Doesn't look like we can. Alright, well, not much to do here. Can we open that door? Can we open any doors?
I still do not see our purpose in coming here.
Relax, old
You
man.
wouldn't, bro.
Going for a stroll on the lower decks every once in a while is good.
Sounds of a heated discussion reverberate through the ship's bays. Lieutenant Avril Event of the ship's enforcers is barring the path of her superior, Master-at-Arms Jocasta Sawyerback, who has arrived clad in armour. Judging by their expressions and tone, the standoff has dragged on for some time already and has now reached boiling point. Lieutenant Vent, my patience is wearing thin. I've given you an order, now get out of my way. I cannot comply with that order, ma'am. This is my deck and my sector. So long as this area remains under the Lord Captain's special oversight, no action can be taken without my express permission. There are only 3 people who are authorized to make me stand down. The first officer, the rogue trader, and the Emperor himself. So not all of my lessons fall on deaf ears. Your Lordship. We'll crush the scene full force. What's the situation? Your Lordship, my people have locked down the bay where the strikers are, including their leaders. We have the situation under control as far as resources allow. Under control, Lieutenant. I came here to lead an investigative unit, and what do I see? The rabble is on the verge of mutiny. There is nothing to investigate. This simply calls for immediate repressions and firing squads, and you, Vent, are a step away from facing charges yourself. Alright, let me speak to the strikers. Right you are, Lord Captain. Allow me to wish you good luck. Okay, y'all need to chill out.
I always have a backup plan.
Y'all need to chill out. Oh my, this is not going to end well, is it? A dozen pair of eyes stare apprehensively. What, all this for a dozen guys? The people before you are typical inhabitants of the lower decks. You take in their simple clothing, crude weapons, and faces that display varying levels of mutation from the barely discernible to the strange to the outright grotesque. Oh, they're bowing. That's quite respectful. Look, Lord Captain, you have come down to us. Tell me what is troubling you. Why are you striking? Striking? That's news to us, your lordship. All we're doing is asking questions, saying what we think. Shut up, Rivet. Here's the deal, your lordship. Your damned enforcers are all over us down here. They say they're looking for cultists. One wrong word and they're reaching for their batons. If they want to punish someone, they turn off the heating to whole bays for a week at a time, so we get sick and freeze. In my clan, 2 little ones died from inflammation in their lungs, all because of those enforcers. Argenta does not interrupt the workers, but you see the sadness well in her eyes when the children's deaths are mentioned. She quietly whispers a requiem prayer and makes a sign over herself. It's all true. Vent is the only enforcer officer who stood up for us. It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks and who grew up amid ships and has no fellow feelings towards us. Your lordship were no villains here, we're honest workers, your servants. We've plotted no disorder, we went on strike openly, and now we've got guns pointed at us. All we're doing is asking to be allowed to work in peace without being harassed. Okay. The persecution started. Apropos of nothing, you say. Man, some of these words. I got to work on my vocabulary. I was told that one of you was found in possession of a cultist amulet, and there are heretics hiding it. Abelard, do you have anything to add? We were attacked on the way down here. What changes do you want? Yeah, let's ask him about the cultist. What's the deal with the cultist? A cultist amulet? What's that? The Gugor they found on the dead drunkard. If it was something evil or forbidden, we sure didn't know. The enforcers just said they were looking for heretics among us, and anyone obstructing their investigation would be punished. But how could there be heretics here? We know our own people, there have been no new faces around. Are you saying you're all heretics? Definitely not, and if there were, we'd be the first to report them. And as for this amulet, or whatever it is, they took it off a dead body. There are no cultists still breathing in our sector, that's for sure. But when that fight broke out, some enterprising folks looted the bodies. The boots they came back with, nobody's ever tread these decks in boots so fine, I can tell you that. Seems to me these cultists have better commanders than us. Oh yeah, those boots really were fine, and there was no harm in taking them, right? As for the amulet, it must have been pocketed by someone who didn't know any better. We don't need any amulets around here. We all worship the Emperor, and when we're working, we bow down before the machine spirits of the large and small transformers and the servo motor. Same way my grandfather was taught 100 years ago by a tech priest who came calling. Believe us, your lordship, we are people of faith. Naive children, weren't you taught from an early age about the dangers of the arch-enemy's creations? Weren't you warned that any unfamiliar object could be one of them? We were told, Holy Sister, but it was long ago. The last time we saw a confessor in our sector, it was just after I'd had my third little one. That is regrettable, but you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on the shoulders of the Holy Fathers. Who will you blame when beasts crawl out of those amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down on himself and his neighbours? Alright, Abelard, do you have anything to add? I authorise the use of all necessary measures to locate Chaos worshippers hiding in this sector. The specific steps taken by the officers were not reported to me. Do you think that's a problem, bro? Nevertheless, I am certain that their actions were justified. Cultists are no drunken stevedores. They are the enemy and a threat to the ship. Neutralising them demands decisive action. Alright, was it really necessary to torture them with cold? The rabble understands only one language, Lord Captain, that of violence. As per regulation, should the labourers persist in their unwillingness to cooperate, the next step is limiting air supply and cutting off water, which is almost certain to restore order. The peasants can grumble all they want, but in the end they are the source of their own misery. All they have to do is bow their heads and fall in line, and the need for punitive measures will disappear. Alright, we were attacked on the way here. What do you say about that, peasants? Here's an explanation for you. The people have been pushed to their limit, and now they're lashing out. As if we don't know why these top deck units are being sent down here, like that one there that the lieutenant won't let past. Our clans are all inside the bay that's been sealed off, but the lower decks are big. I'm sure there are some people who have had just about enough. We're getting it from all sides. The soldiers have encircled the ones who have risen up. A death squad has just arrived. It's no wonder folks are lashing out. Look, that's fair enough. Okay, awareness test succeeded. Their words seem sincere to you. Their body language and the glances traded between them reveal that the news of the attack has shocked them. Alright, what changes do you want? What are your demands? Would you look at that? The Exalted Lord Captain himself is asking us bilge rats what we want. Well, here's what. We want you to rein in your damned enforcers, to quit turning off the heat and to stop battering everything that moves. No, that's not it. We want the enforcers gone from here, and we want to be armed. Give us arms and we'll govern ourselves. We'll defend ourselves if these cultists do show their faces. I've been leader of my clan for 20 years now. Getting rid of these club-wielding thugs can only improve things around here. You've gone too far, old man. They'll never let the maggots on the lower decks live without the enforcers breathing down their necks. They probably even insist on enforcers on the upper decks too. As for weapons, what do we need them for? Before the first day is out, we'll have someone shooting their neighbour out of stupidity or drunkenness. We don't need that. If the enforcers stop hassling us, that'll be enough. In return, we'll find the scavengers who robbed the cultist bodies and we'll talk to them. One lower decker to another. If there aren't any more of those damned amulets about, we'll hand them over to the enforcers ourselves. That's what we want. You speak for yourself and your clan, and I'll speak for me and mine. I don't want empty gestures. I want real change. They'll promise us the world now, but as soon as the Anointed One turns his back, these brutes will be on us even harder than before, all because we dared to speak out. The tall worker's eyes dart between the two arguing leaders. Every few seconds he opens his mouth as if planning to agree, but each time he falls silent, simply making a few vague noises of approval. Look, I'm kind of tempted to get the enforcers out of there, bro. Thoughts, Abelard? The story about going scavenging for boots and accidentally picking up a heretical amulet doesn't convince me. These people were moments away from rebelling and possibly becoming minions of the archenemy. We must not give them what they want. Even if they did acquire something innocently, purely out of their own stupidity, that does not mean they are not tainted with corruption. What begins as petty thievery can turn into a far graver problem. I have seen it before. In my second war, there was a sergeant in the Imperial Guard regiment that was stationed nearby. The sergeant took an ordinary pocket knife from the body of a heretic, and his whole unit lost their lives for it. When they finally managed to break into the barracks, they found not a single survivor, only the pocket knife, which had grown through all the rows of beds like a metal-choking vine. So when it comes to scavengers, malcontent strikers, or whatever they'll turn into, next, my verdict is simple: give them no quarter. Master-at-Arms, where do you stand? Give the rabble a grox and they will take an agri-world, Lord Captain. They only understand brute force and will interpret any concession as a sign of weakness. Giving them weapons and recalling the enforcers would be folly. It would only be a matter of time before we had a full-scale mutiny on our hands. Like, I feel like this is probably the sensible option, but I kinda tempted to go radical and see what happens. But, yeah, maybe we should do this. Oh, I am conflicted though. Yeah, let's play it safe. Old man, listen. The Lord Captain himself has come down to us and is offering concessions. And I don't know a single person in the whole of Depot 4 who's ever stood next to the rogue trader, let alone talk to them. Back down. Now's no time for you to be a stubborn old crone. Listen to us, old man. The 3 clans of Depot 4 ought to act as one. We've made our minds up. It's your turn to decide. Don't ask them to disband the enforcers or give us weapons. We don't need any of that. You two are ganging up on me. Is that it? So brave you are against an old woman. But I'll shut up. I will indeed. I won't go against 2 clan leaders on my own. If you want to make peace with the enforcers, make your peace. That's great. Just fantastic. Lord Captain, we're all agreed. Okay. Then it's decided. The persecution will stop, and I will expect you to assist in locating any remaining amulets or weapons left by the cultists. Yeah, we gotta work together. That's how we survive. Your lordship, thank you. You have not abandoned us lower deckers. You came yourself and settled everything. I'll tell my grandchildren about this. Okay, so we've lost some fuel and provisions. That's alright. Of course, your lordship will root out any nasty business faster than the enforcers and will leave no stone unturned. Well, thank you kindly. Alright, we got out of here without shedding blood, so I consider that a win. For sure. Hey, there we go.
The premonition runs true.
Okay. We'll just be acquiring those for ourselves, I think. So now the mini game with the pipes is over. Okay, so it just led to loot. It didn't lead to us blowing anyone or anything up, so that's good. That's good. It's led to us getting some contraband. I have an urgent matter to discuss with the Lord Captain. Please give us a moment. Well, are you pleased with your investigation, Lord Captain? You kowtowed to the disloyal rabble, you believed their lies and showed them leniency. Next time the ship is attacked by cultists, that rabble will welcome them in with open arms and allow them to wreak whatever havoc they like because they see you as a weak leader. Is that how you see your future at the helm of the Von Valancius Protectorate? Well, what I'd like to say to him, but doesn't seem to be an option, is let's just wait and see, bro. Let's just wait and see. You know, maybe treating them like human beings will actually come back to help us if the ship gets attacked next time. Because you did such a good job preventing the last attack, didn't you, bro? You didn't get thousands of people massacred or anything, including your leader. Nah. You did so well, bro. You clearly know how to stop an attack on this ship. This dude's starting to annoy me. Yeah, let's talk about your actions, bro. I would have handled the situation myself had you not decided to intervene. Remember Lord Captain Theodora? Do you think she ever set one slippered foot on the lower decks? No, she did not. Such matters were left to myself and the junior officers, while she dedicated herself to our grand designs for the Protectorate, as any true strategist and rogue trader ought. I kept trying to say should. He's not saying should. He's... No. Bro, I'm not Theodora. Yeah, exactly. Maybe if she had paid more attention to what was happening on the ship, I wouldn't have to be here doing her job right now, bro. Did you ever think about that one? Yeah, like, I'm not Theodora. I'm not going to do things her way. I commend your decisiveness, but I'm uncomfortable with introducing new protocols in the midst of a crisis. And who allowed that crisis to happen, bro? Who was that? Who was it, buddy? And I lost my temper, Lord Captain, and I believe I ought to explain myself. The prosperity of the Von Valancius Protectorate is not just an empty phrase to me. I left the Imperial Navy for the chance to see it flourish. It was the most momentous decision of my life. I did it because I saw in Lord Captain Theodora's deeds the sign of true greatness. Rogue traders do not simply forge new routes and capture worlds. They create order out of anarchy. Bro, that's literally what I just did. Like, we just finished doing that, dog. That creative impulse was entirely lacking during my time in the military. So I left behind everything I had known, everything my family had known. I come from a long line of officers, and I embarked upon this incredibly reckless venture. Lord Captain Theodora entrusted me with all the concerns she had no time for. She would go off on a flagship for long periods to distant frontiers on scouting voyages, and the advancement of the entire Protectorate rested on my shoulders. And then suddenly everything that had been built over years and years began to quake, rattling like a flimsy hanger on a seismically active world. Yeah. Yeah, maybe if you had these guys on your side during the attack, maybe things would have went differently, dog. One of the senior officers betrayed us all. The rogue trader was killed, and who knows what is happening on the planets. I tell you this honestly, without fear of appearing weak. All this has come as a grievous blow to me. I'm not panicking or grieving because I cannot allow myself to panic or grieve. I am duty-bound to aid the new rogue trader, to aid you, to find your footing as quickly as possible, and to do that, I must insulate you from problems that in the past have been dealt with by tried and tested procedures set out in the ship's regulations. Again, how many thousands of people are dead? Maybe the regulations need to change, bro. We'll see, man. Procedures that were established long ago and have functioned smoothly for decades until just recently cannot suddenly be deemed excess to requirements. I think they can, dog. I think I'm in charge now, and what I say goes. Theodora trusted in established procedures, and she died. Exactly. This is what I'm saying, bro. Alright? The way you guys do things is trash. Yeah, start living in the new world. Yeah, that one's not a bad option. The prosperity of the Von Valentian Protectorate is just important to me. It's not really. I'm honestly not that worried about it. You are the only person who has comprehensive knowledge of how things are run on this ship. I think in the future I will follow your recommend. Nah, dog. I value what Theodora created, and I trust that this situation is an aberration in the ship's otherwise smooth operation. Since the establishment... Oh. No, we're not doing any of these. Very little competence. I have no plans to rely on your judgment or your... Okay, that's harsh. I think the first two are where we go. Yeah, I think this one. I think this is like, you know, they're basically saying the same thing, you know, that things are changing. We're not doing things Theodora's way. We're doing things the Drifter way. But this is like a nicer, gentler way of saying it. So we'll do that, I think. Yes, Lord Captain. Your resolve is admirable and demonstrates strong leadership. I shall remember this moment should my old habits ever begin to creep back in. Yeah, it felt like that's like talking to Alistair about his sister in Dragon Age, hey? We just shaped this guy's personality going forward. And now please let us leave the lower decks. If the rogue trader desires to stretch his legs, there are far more suitable places. Yeah, that's the whole problem, bro. Maybe we should try to make the lower decks suck less. And then maybe people will be happier to be here. Just saying. Let's go, dog. Alright, we get to level up. Man, that was quite the side quest that we just took. That was, yeah. Alright, I've managed to level up. Again, don't know if I've made good choices or not, but we'll find out. Yeah, I'm just going weapon skill with Drifter. I'm just trying to up that dodge and parry as much as possible. So, you know, hopefully he avoids taking damage. And what did I go with? Contingency plan. I think I'm starting to figure out how Surefire plan works. And so this is going to guarantee that we always have it to use every single turn. I feel like that might be a good thing to have. For our boy Abelard, we went with Strength just to do more damage. And we went with No Heresy. Imperial World characters gain plus 10% critical hit chance and plus 10% armor against Xenos or demonic creatures. That alone is good. Their allies gain half the bonuses of No Heresy. So everyone else gets plus 5%. The trade-off is that, yeah, his Law Xenos and Law Warp are always set to 0. But I figure, you know, we'll have Cassia for the Warp and Adira for the, Adira for the Warp. And, hopefully we find a Xenos person soon. Like, surely we've got to find one, is my point. I stuffed up the names and the people, but, you know, that's what I mean. Adira, we went with... prescience? I was going to say prescience, but I'm guessing it's prescience. Target gains +6 intelligence, perception, fellowship, and willpower till the end of combat. This ability, you can choose between this one or foreboding, and a couple of the better abilities need at least one of those as a prerequisite. So that's kind of the main reason that I took it. So, yeah, might not be the best thing, but whatever. What else did I give her? Gave her Law Warp. So she's by far our Warp expert. We just need a Xenos expert. And then Agenta, we went with Agility. It wouldn't let me do Ballistic Skill, I guess, because I've already done it twice. It was like, nah, you gotta choose something else. So I went with Agility. I think Agility's kind of good for everyone because it is linked to initiative. So, you know, we want to go first if we can in battle. And then what did I give her? Bolt Weapon Expert. So she already had Bolter Weapon Proficiency. So I figured, you know, let's keep that going. Bolt Weapon attacks gain +10% armor penetration. Don't know if bolt weapons are good or not. I believe they were okay when I played 3rd edition back in the day. So surely they're still good now. And then we have Cassia. Now I went with Held in My Gaze. The Navigator deals from 15 to 34 damage to an enemy. That enemy must pass a willpower resistance test or become immobilized until the start of the Navigator's next turn. That just sounds like the best thing ever. That just like we immobilize them potentially, and we damage them. And then I went with whenever the Navigator uses a Navigator power, Veal degradation is reduced by -1. Now I believe that's a double negative, and it will be reduced by 1. Because reducing it by -1 would add 1. So reducing by -1, it goes down by 1, I'm assuming. Haven't had to deal with Veal degradation yet, but I came across, I don't know if it was like a YouTube video or something I saw about the game, and some dude was just about Veal degradation being really bad. So I'm thinking this ability seems to be one of the only ways we have to reduce it, or might be the only way that I've seen so far. So I grabbed it and see if it's good or not. So that's the level up. We can now give this a 3rd attempt at contacting this bloody prison place. I swear, if someone gets in our way, man, 3rd time's a charm. Here we go. Can we get there? Looks like we can. Oh yeah.